Hey everybody, it's Rabbi Shmuel Pollan. I'm really excited for this show. This is the Light Unto the Nations show, and we're going to sort of collapse a lot of videos into one so that you can just watch this. It'll be a little bit longer, but you'll be able to have a total life transformation from just one video. Now, not exactly just one video. You have to watch another video, which is going to be in the description, which is about 25 proofs that God definitely exists, because it's necessary to understand the solutions that God provides to know that he exists. You should know that, and you should know it intellectually in a really real way, and that's what that video is going to do for you. And just in case you don't go to that video, I will spend just like 2 minutes explaining what I explained there. The first proof that I bring is that of a particle accelerator. If you see a particle accelerator, you would know immediately it was created by a being. And you would know immediately it was created by an intelligent being. Now, what about the atom inside the particle accelerator? Isn't it logical to say that that was also created by an intelligent being? And the electron is going 70 quadrillion revolutions per second around the neutrons and the protons. No human being could create that. So isn't it then logical to say that the atom was created by a super intelligent being? Yes, it absolutely is logical to say that. A fortiori is what it's called. If this is true, then something greater would cause that to be even more true. And atheists, as you'll see on the video, will say I'm committing all sorts of fallacies when I say this. Like what I'm saying is so ridiculous. As you'll see in the comments, I explain how there are no fallacies in what I'm saying. And in fact, they're the ones committing a fallacy. And it's called the straw man fallacy, because they're basically saying it's a fallacy in that you're saying we don't know how this was created, and you're saying it must be Yahweh, it must be the Jewish God. And that's a straw man argument, because they're tying God down to being Yahweh. They're tying God down to being the Jewish God. And I'm not saying it has to be the Jewish God. I mean, not at this point. I'm just saying there has to be a creator, just like there was a creator of the particle accelerator. There has to be a creator of the atom, and that one was intelligent, so that one has to be intelligent. I'm just saying there needs to be an intelligent creator being, and you can believe in that if you're logical. You will believe in that, and you will be a theist, not a Jew, not a Muslim, just a theist, just someone who believes there's a creator, because it's obvious there's a creator, and it's obvious the creator was intelligent. I also talk about the revelation of God at Sinai, and the fact that we know God exists just like we know any other historical fact. Because how do we know facts from history? Columbus discovered America. Well, some say he didn't actually discover America, but let's say he did. How many people saw it? 100 people? 1,000 people? Well, that's not that many people, but it's handed down through a tradition, and we know from family to family to family that it happened. Now, let's apply that to Sinai in the year 1313 from creation. The tradition is that in the families of 12 million Jews, their grandparents believed it, and their great grandparents believed it. They all believed that in that year, on the 6th of Sivan, that God revealed himself to Moses and the entire Jewish people. And it was handed down to be a tradition through a book that cannot be changed. The Torah cannot be changed, not even one letter, not even one part of a letter. The exact same book as they got then, we have now. And that is the tradition of Mount Sinai, that God revealed himself. So we know that God exists because he revealed himself at that time. And again, the atheists will come and say, well, what did they actually see, or how do we actually know? I deal with all of that in the comments of that video. Check it out. Good luck, because it goes back and forth quite a lot. But in my opinion, we don't really get anywhere because their minds are not open. They're not looking for the truth. They're looking to be an atheist. And there are 23 other proofs in that video. So one of them has got to convince you. See the comments there. Knowing that there's a God, as we'll see, really solves every other problem. And that is the topic of this video. Now we're going to get into this video. Don't just like, but please share this video with someone else because it helps them with their problems. People need this video. It's really a video that causes many breakthroughs in your life. So we're talking about the solution to all things. That's a really big deal. So share it. And also, I love your comments. So please leave comments. Now, God says in the Ten Commandments, in that historical revelation that we have, that He is one and there is no other. So it's all about unity with a capital U. And we'll say what that means in a minute. But if you have a game, let's say, boxing match, a baseball game, a chess game, you have a winner and a loser. And that's unity with the lowercase u, where one wins and the other loses. And now it's peaceful, but one has lost and they're feeling dejected, and the other has won and they're feeling egotistical. So no one has really won in this game. Winner takes all, and it's not pleasant. But if you realize that it is a game, if that's your perspective, you don't have like money bet on the game. It's just a game, and a game is there for your enjoyment. So that's sort of how God is. They say God is up there, God is up there looking down on this world, and He's enjoying the match. He's enjoying the fights between liberals and conservatives and blacks and whites, and to Him it's a game. But if you want to have a good life, you want to have an enjoyable life, you should also look at it as a game or a story or a movie. But in all of those cases, you are sort of outside of it and you have free choice and you're looking down on infinite and finite and you're enjoying it. If your car breaks down and you got to get the kids to school on time, look at it as a game. Look at it like you're going to score points or you're not going to score points. And then it becomes a pleasure. It becomes a pleasure to compete, a pleasure to do your best. And you know that if you don't succeed, it's just a game. God loves you no matter what. There's an infinite love there. So you should always realize that you can't really lose in the big scheme of things. If you are trying to beat the clock and get your kids there on time, how is that different from Michael Jordan shooting a jumper at the buzzer? They're both people trying to get in at the right time, and it's enjoyable. It's a game. So if you look at it that way, your whole life changes. It's called gamification. Jerry Seinfeld uses that word. Tim Ferriss uses that word. Life becomes enjoyable when it's a game. Also, it's very meaningful when it's a story or a movie, and a movie is even a way better because everything is so exact according to the director's directives. Same thing with God. Everything is very exact according to what's happening to us. And we will learn lessons one day from every little thing that happened to us and every little object in our house. There are lessons to be learned from all of them because it's like a movie. It's a drama. If you look at it like that, you will benefit. You will live a more meaningful, happier life. Just because it's a game doesn't mean you don't play your heart out. You have to be able to totally invest. So God is like above the world and He's totally invested in the world. He has these two opposites. So you have to always keep in mind, and we'll talk about that, about investment. And you actually enjoy the game more when you invest, because you would think, well, if it's just a game, it's just a game, so I'm not going to play my heart out. No. If it's a game, you want to enjoy the game, and enjoying the game happens when you really compete, when you really do your best. Similarly, God is invested in the world. This is infinite, being above it, and finite, being in it. So God unites the infinite and the finite. He sees the bigger goal, the free choice, the bird's eye view, as we'll talk about. And God appreciates life with the finite and the infinite, putting them together, seeing them fight with each other. And we should also see it as a game. We shouldn't be fighting liberals and conservatives. We should be uniting and taking our roles as a liberal or as a conservative. I'm not saying shouldn't be such a thing as conservatives and liberals, just as I'm not saying there shouldn't be such a thing as infinite and finite. But you should be above it, realize it's just a game. That's all it is. You're not going to really lose, even if you lose. You can't lose because it's just a game. And yet, you're totally invested in your opinion. Now you're united, so you listen to each other's opinions and you learn from each other's opinions, and it's total unification. But conservatives want to limit spending, and the liberal wants to just give and give and give infinitely. So the liberal is the infinite one, and the conservative is the finite one. So the liberal wants food stamps and wants to spend money on the environment and $15 minimum wage and give and give and give. And the conservatives are saying, whoa, 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 let's take a look at, how much we actually have, what our debts actually are, and what we should actually do. But the liberal says, no, people need it. They need it now. We have to give it to them. Um, and even if it doesn't make sense, we'll make it work. We just have to make it work because if there's a will, there's a way. And that's the way things should operate if nobody is being corrupt. If it's corrupt, it's another story. But this essentially is what a liberal and a conservative is supposed to be, and they're supposed to be working together. But everything in the world has these two sides, infinite and finite. So the tissue box, as I mentioned in the other video, is like 8 inches long and 3 inches wide and 3 inches tall. And that's finite. And the tissue box is different from the table, which has its own dimensions. And the table is different from the keyboard. And the keyboard has keys on it that are all different. Everything is distinct. So this is like the conservative view, the finite view, that everything has its own distinct place and its own distinct dimensions. And we have to recognize their distinctions. But God is one. We just said that God is one. How could everything be so different? That's the answer. It's the third perspective. It's the free choice perspective. It's the bird's eye view perspective that unites the infinite and the finite. They actually don't contradict as we think they do. And one reason for that is like God wears the world like a mask. So when you're wearing a mask, you are a robber, you are a cowboy, you are a basketball player, but you're not. You're really not. So this world it's actually distinct, but God is wearing it like a mask, and it's really not. Everything isn't what we think it is. Everything isn't as finite as we think it is. It just appears that way. So that's a little, hint into Hasidic philosophy. But the point is, we have free choice, just like God has free choice. He has the bird's eye view, the gamification. That's God's perspective. It's total freedom, freedom to choose, free choice. And in unity, from this perspective, they're both true, but we enjoy it, and we decide on one side. Eventually there has to be a bill in Congress, and it has to be decided. And once it's decided, it has to be absolute. It has to be totally there. So we can apply this concept of unity with a capital U to every aspect of life, and I'll give you, I don't know, 10 that we can deal with. And the first one that I want to deal with is personal development, because that's my personal favorite topic. And we can't talk about personal development without talking about the law of attraction, which tells you to dress how you would dress when you'd be successful, talk how you're going to talk when you be successful, and in general, expect the best will happen to you. Think good and it will be good, which is actually a Hasidic concept. This is the infinite side of things. This is high expectations. And on the other side, you have the conservative side of things, which is finite, which is low expectations. And that's good because no matter what happens when you have low expectations, it's all a wonderful surprise. So keep the expectations low, and you're always happy no matter what happens. So the lower expectations person might really think through the situation and might realize that what he's expecting would happen is not really realistic. So I'm going to kind of lay low. God's perspective is that I have free choice. I have free choice whether to have low expectations or high expectations. It's totally within my realm. I can have both. So you can expect both things to happen. You can expect the best and be prepared for the worst. You don't have to expect just one thing. You can expect multiple things. Trump, if he lost, which he did, has to have a plan for what he's going to do if he loses. But of course, he was expecting to win. So expect two things at the same time, and that's the higher unity. That's the unity perspective, the godly perspective. And we also have in personal development, I really like Tony Robbins, and he talks about rules. And we have rules about when we're going to be happy and when we're not. This will make me happy, this will make me sad. And we don't realize we have these rules. And we get upset when there's a negative comment on our YouTube video, like I sometimes get. And if my rule was I will only be happy when every comment is positive, then this would really upset me. But that's not my rule. My rule is that I'm happy whenever I feel like I did my best on the video. So I'm happy no matter what happens. So you have to take your rules, which are finite and infinite. You have finite and infinite rules, and take the bird's eye view, the free choice view, the upper unity view, and say, my rules can be whatever I want. I can say, I'm going to be happy when I wiggle my toe. That will be my rule, and you have to invest in it. And you have to be totally invested in that fact that when you wiggle your toe, you're going to be happy. Go above the rules, choose the ones that work for you best, get rid of all the ones that don't make any sense and don't need to be there. And you can turn yourself into like a superhuman person when you have rules that propel you in the right direction in every sense. Invest in it once you make the rule, make it real, believe in it, make it a mantra. Metaphors. People could look at life as a game or look at life as a grind. I'm trying to get you to look at it as a game or a movie, and you could be a struggler or a learner. And then if you lose your Olympic race that you prepared for your whole life by 1 second, and you say that life is a grind, you're going to be totally dejected. But if you're a learner or you're a struggler, you can say, wow, I learned a lot from that match. I'm really going to do things a lot better the next time. And I'm so close. I know that I'm going to win next time. But even if I don't, I'm the learner. My whole goal is to learn. So be the learner. Make your whole life about learning, and you'll have an enchanted life. You can feel however you want. Once you take the godly perspective, once you take the high road, you can feel however you want. Another aspect of personal development is the idea of the alter ego, which is flicking your wrist and becoming another persona, becoming another person. When you're in God's seat, when you're in the unity perspective, you can have any personality that you want. So it's true. You can become another person. Beyonce becomes Sasha Fierce. So she can become someone who can dance in front of people in an uninhibited way, no, a modest way, unfortunately. But you can become whoever you want. And people say that's not authentic. No, that is authentic. That's you. Who else is it? If it's not you, who else is it? You are in God's seat, and you are taking on any personality you want. And you can do that. You can come up with any superhero or person from any movie, and you can invest in it and be authentic at the same time. What about weight loss? So everybody's yo-yoing, and they're not sure if they should eat less carbs or more fat, and there's different fad every week. And really, what I'm going to say, you're going to like, because everybody wants to blame the scientists. Blame the scientists, because they're putting so much stuff in our food that's making us fat, chemicals. Why can't they do the opposite? take God's perspective, the free choice perspective, and invest in a venture to make food taste better and be healthier at the same time. So you can have finite and infinite at the same time when you take the upper unity perspective. So why can't they do that? Why, instead of putting high fructose corn syrup in our food, put something healthy in our food, make our food more healthy and more tasty at the same time so that dieting becomes easy. And that puts no burden on you whatsoever. It's just putting the burden on the scientists. But that's really where it should be. Um, Economics. So I'm not an economist, but I know the Bible, and I know the Bible recommends a flat tax, 10% of your income, 20% if you want to give more. And in other countries, people actually do want to give more sometimes because their government is so responsive and so good to them. In Europe, um, if you had that and the billionaires actually paid that, if they didn't have corporations that hide them from taxes, shelter them from taxes, and Bill Gates, who has $120 billion, would actually have to pay $12 billion, that $12 billion could solve, if not America's hunger, the world's hunger. And imagine what you can do with the next billionaire and the next billionaire, but they have a corporate veil. You need to pierce that corporate veil, like I learned in law school, and make everyone pay the 10% because Bill Gates is a person just like you and me. The fact that he has a corporation shouldn't matter. The money he has to give 10%. And 10% would be easier on everybody else. And you would have a tax code, which is this big, thrown in the garbage because everybody knows exactly what their taxes are. It's just 10% and you're done. So we'll move on to the hookup culture, clubs and bars and women sleeping on the first night, sleeping with men on the first night. Now, men, you can blame them, but they'll sleep with whoever it is. But the women really need to rethink this whole thing because sleeping with men willy-nilly, it's like printing money in the Federal Reserve. You think you're getting somewhere, but you're just losing your values because a woman is a princess, more accurately, a queen, and a queen doesn't let people come into her inner chambers uh, just for being there. It's not something that gives you more value, something that makes you lose value. And the less you give people, the more modest you are, and the more you sort of separate from men, the more they want you. They want you even more. So go for the long-term respect and be a princess, be a queen, and make it more spiritual, make it about connection than just the physical. And we also know that for men, they have a problem that I've heard about on the internet that they're too nice on dates. They're just complimenting and being nice. And the woman really wants them to be real. She wants honesty. She wants your free choice. She wants that godly perspective, that bird's eye perspective. And then it doesn't look like you're trying to manipulate her into bed because you're being so nice, but you're actually being real. And then people take that the wrong way and they act like a jerk. But what you want to go for is honesty and reality. Philosophy, the next topic. Why do we suffer? If there's a good God, why is there suffering? And the answer is because it's an experience. Suffering is an experience, and you actually want it, believe it or not. When you watch a movie, you like the fact that bad things happen to the good person in the movie. You don't ask for a refund. You like that. So that later in the movie, there's a catharsis. Later in the movie, you actually enjoy the emotional high that you're on. And you only got it because you went through the difficult time. And when you look back at your life, you're going to be glad you have those difficult times to look back on and realize how much you grew from it. People like watching horror movies. They intentionally want to be in pain. They want that. People who self-harm want that, even though that's really bad. But they want a rich experience. And ultimately, soon in the future, in the Messianic era, God will invest in this world with joy and compassion. So we won't need these kinds of movies and we won't need these kinds of difficulties and suffering. Only good will happen, and it will be totally real and a total experience. Liberals and conservatives, we've discussed this. The liberal is there to innovate, always trying to make things more fair, more good, and more technology. And the conservative is saying, well, let's conserve what's good. We already have good. Let's not try to make it more good. We're going to lose the good if we try and do that. But not according to the upper unity. According to the upper unity, we can have both. We can be having what is good while we're progressing. We're not losing what we have. Progress isn't really an enemy of conservatism, of saving what's good. Um, it's not a contradiction to tradition, and tradition is not a contradiction to progress. You can have both. So don't be one or the other. Be an independent so that you can invest in the right idea at the right time. And then you'll also be able to have ideas that are neither liberal nor conservative. Ideas like I heard from someone, why not give out grants from the government for kids and adults who can come up with ways to make the government operate better or come up with inventions. That's neither liberal nor conservative. And if you're independent minded, you will come up with these things. If you're just solution oriented, but if you're just stuck in progress or saving in tradition, you're going to be stuck. And you'll be fighting with each other. It's not a fight. It's not a contradiction. Tradition, keep it. In progress, go for it. Have both feet on the ground and reach for the heights. Just like the law of attraction, same thing. So we spoke, I think, a little bit about dormitories, which you need to have a finite and infinite aspect. Dormitories for the homeless. Um, Everyone should have a home. Everyone should have a place to sleep and basic food needs taken care of. But you want to make some criteria that they have to meet to be able to get into the dormitory. So you have this finite aspect. Say, no, we need to be able to do this and that and fill out these forms. But it also has to be an infinite aspect in that everyone can get in and everyone ultimately gets a bed. So you have to have these dormitories. There shouldn't be any homeless on the street. It's really hard to watch and hard to deal with. And you're asking for change and you don't have change and you want to help, but you don't know how to help. They need to be obviously connected with mental hospitals because there's a lot of mental illness. But it has to be infinite in that everybody's taken care of, and finite in that they have to work a little bit to qualify for these grants of housing. Military spending. What's the upper unity? Well, the upper unity is we can do anything we want with the military spending, and we'll hopefully realize that intelligence is the way to go. If we have intelligence, we have spies all over the world in every single country. There's no way that a war could ever catch us off guard. And I think every country should have spies in every country, and there should be total transparency. The more transparency there is, the less likely that there's going to be a war, and there will be world peace if we have transparency, spies, intelligence. That's what we should have. The CIA. Give more money to the CIA. Then we won't ever be caught off guard, and we don't have to worry so much about what everyone else is doing. How do we not even have that already? How do we not have eyes on every single country in the world? They should have eyes on us. Transparency equals peace. And then, again, the scientists should be coming up with ways, since we can do infinite and finite, they should be coming up with ways to make weapons more deadly for the people who we need to kill. And there are such people. And then also make it so there's no collateral damage. Make it so that it doesn't hit anyone or hurt anyone but that exact person that you want to hit. So it's infinite and finite. Got it? Get it? Good. Black and white relations. The godly perspective is you're one. You're one people. If you look at the kids, and Malachi says the kids will bring the hearts of the adults back to where they're supposed to be in repentance and return to God. The kids don't care. They don't care if you're black or white. What do they care? That's how it's supposed to be for us. What do we care? It's just the pigment in your skin. It has nothing to do with your character. It has nothing to do with who you are. It has nothing to do with your history. I mean, there are certain things that happen to blacks that didn't happen to whites, for sure, and they need to be recompensed, and whatever that is. I didn't think it through, but um, it doesn't matter. What matters is that we're a family, that we're human, and we all bleed red, and there should be no difference whatsoever. Um, Transgender, you can't take down this video because of this, because I'm just saying what the Bible says, and you can't cancel the Bible. And as you may know, the Bible says that men shouldn't dress like women and women shouldn't dress like men. Now, we must bear in mind that the Bible also says, love each other like you love yourself. Love each other unconditionally with complete love. And that is what we have for transgender people: complete love and acceptance. We feel for you, we understand you as much as we can understand. We know that it's a big, big challenge that others cannot even imagine. And at the same time, we need to recognize that we have a godly spark. We have the upper unity. That means we're unlimited. So we can do anything we want. So you're putting effort into becoming a man if you're a woman, and a woman if you're a man. Why not put the same effort into making the man be more like a man and the woman be more like a woman? I know that's like taboo to say that, but if you're putting in the energy, put energy in the other direction. And in politics, just another point. We have this president and so many presidents. Every president in throughout history has said that they're going to be a president for all Americans because they want all Americans to vote for them. But then they appoint to their cabinet only Democrats, only Republicans. There should be a diversity, not only of color and ethnicity, there should be a diversity of philosophy. There should be libertarians in your cabinet. There should be Republicans for Democrats. There should be Green Party representatives. And the Green Party should worry about the environment because that's what they're into. Let them take care of that. There should be all kinds of people in every administration so you can get the best ideas from all of them. And that's the godly view. That's the upper unity. That's the bird's eye view. And what about China? That's a problem. We know that they are competing with us and they maybe want to make war with us, and they're a threat. Now, you need infinitude and finitude. Love them, trade with them, make money with them, and also at the same time, sanction them for their human rights abuses at the same time. You have to have this 1-2 punch. You have to have this infinity and finitude. Now, what about marriage? In marriage, it depends on the argument, but it's always infinite versus finite. And you need to sort of like enjoy the debate instead of taking it so seriously, and instead of having your whole marriage be threatened by the fact that you had one fight. No, it's a marriage, it's a game, it's a movie. Enjoy it. Enjoy the competition if there is competition. It doesn't mean you have to get a divorce. So the upper unity would say that I can see both sides of the argument. And really, if you want to get closer, and I think Jordan Peterson talks about this, is you need to be able to state the other one's argument in a way that the other one thinks is good enough to represent their argument. So totally get rid of this distinction between infinite and finite. And instead, everybody's restating the other one's argument. That will bring you together, and you'll have a longer lasting marriage because you're using the upper unity. And also, another upper unity concept is realize that you can love in many different ways. And that's why there's a book called The 5 Love Languages, because your spouse responds to certain kind of love at certain times in certain ways. So you have to be like above the game, realizing that you can love anyone at any time, and then say, no, I'm invested. I'm investing in this particular person, and I'm going to love them in this particular way. And in that way, it's the reason why Jews have a chuppah, above the marriage, above the bride and groom, because you have to have something bigger than the bride and groom in order for the bride and groom to stay together. So that should be God. God is above you, but it's also could be your kids. If you really care about your kids, and you're not being selfish, you will stay together and not get divorced. And you got to have that bigger thing that unites the both of you. So, cheating in marriage, betrayal, infidelity, again, you have to realize that you're unlimited, which means you're above your urges. It's sort of natural to have the urge to be unfaithful, and that's why the Bible talks about it and says not to do it. Everything the Bible says not to do, it says because somebody has that urge. But you are unlimited. You are not stuck in your urges. You can totally overcome your urges. You can say no. You'll be proud of yourself when you're faithful, and your marriage will last longer. And just like the New Year's resolutions, you've got to get outside your comfort zone and not just go with the flow. Don't just go with your urges. Going with the flow is a bad idea in general. Think about what you're doing and do the right thing and say no when you need to say no, even if somebody is really like filling a need for you that you want filled. Don't do it. Don't cheat. Go out of your comfort zone. Say no. Stuck in an infinity or finity. Be the upper unity. Resist, push yourself, because you are able to do both. There's a question of unconditional love or conditional love. Which one should we have? Again, they're not a contradiction. You can catch someone when they fall and also motivate them to reach the highest heights. Depends what the situation is. Which one should you do? Or maybe there's a situation where you do both. You can do both. They're infinite, finite, and there's the upper unity where they don't contradict. So the point is to just focus on strengthening your relationship. And if that means being conditionally loving, then do that. If it means unconditionally loving, do that. You just want to make the marriage better. That's the upper unity. Let's talk about learning. What makes you learn? Learning is to be able to get beyond the words. It's the upper unity because it's the bird's eye view. To read a book and be able to say it in your own words is learning. Then you're really going to get it. If it's stuck in the words, stuck in the infinity and finitude, it's not going to work. You're not going to learn. You've got to be able to say it in your own words, and you should play back this video and be able to say it back in your own words. There's many more topics to talk about, many more topics that God can solve for us, and we will go further and further in unifying this world until it's totally unified and is only showing us good and grace and joy and love, and we will bring about the ultimate redemption where there will be only good things happening and only good people in the world. God bless.